Hello YouTube, this is Gene again with Geeky Asian Dad coming to you again with brisket, corned beef, or pastrami. I'm going to try something different. Been doing a lot of smoking and I actually want to try to make pastrami. Had a great pastrami sandwich this weekend and I'm just curious on how I'm going to make it. So, let's get started. Okay, the most basic brine or cure starts off with the most basic ingredients. I'm using quick tender, which is kind of the curing thing. You can use the pink salt, but I'm using this because it's just so much easier. I'm using 1 tablespoon per pound. And then it starts off with salt and sugar. That's it, with water, let it sit, brine, soak. But I always want to try to build on the flavors. So I'm adding garlic powder, coriander, black pepper, red pepper, mustard, and a little bit of cloves, just to build on to the pastrami. Then I'm going to use a can of beer with it. I'm not going to use as much water as a normal brine. I'm going to kind of leave it more like a dry brine, but a very, very little brine. All right. Let's get started. Okay, so these briskets have been curing for about 2 weeks, actually a little like a day or two, over 2 weeks. Every day I flip them over just to make sure that they had very little bit of water. But this next step is probably the most important part of it after the curing, is to rinse these off and soak them for at least 24 hours in fresh water just to pull out the salt. Otherwise, you can't eat it. It's just gonna be so salty, the cure, and you just can't get the flavor because all you can do is focus on the salt. Alright, we're gonna let this sit and rest for 24 hours and it all comes together. It helps to extract a lot of the salt out. Alright, so it's been about 24 hours in which the cured brisket has been soaking in plain water just to extract a lot of the salts. And now we have our pastrami rub. It basically composes of black pepper, coriander, and mustard. That's kind of the basics. You could probably use the seeds, but I found it easier just to buy them pre-ground. And I'm adding a little bit of garlic and a little bit of sugar, just kind of help balance it out. All right, so we're gonna sprinkle it on and we're gonna start cooking. All right, got the standard setup for cooking brisket. Hickory. I'm gonna add a little bit more hickory than normal. I usually would have, think I would have tried more mesquite, but didn't have time to go get mesquite. And a little bit of applewood. Oh, I'm sorry. More hickory. Added more water because this is going to be low and slow to get the smoke in, and then I'm going to try hot and fast toward the spray or cooking spray. Alright, the bottom rack. Fat side up. Top rack. Fat side up. All right, see you in about 4 to 6 hours. Okay, it's been about 4.5 hours. It's been smoking at around the 225. So now I'm gonna do what we always call the Texas crutch, is to put them in the foil. I'm gonna keep these really, really simple. You can see a nice good bark on it. Just plain water. And I'm gonna add a little bit more. I'm gonna take it and put it fat side down. All right, as you can see, I removed the water so it can get hotter. This is where the low and slow and the hot and fast come together. All right, see you in about 3 hours. Okay, it's been about 3 hours, probably around 300 plus is cooling off, and let's give it a rest. All right, this one is the bottom rack of the smoker. This one is the top rack of the smoker. So let's just cut right into it. I noticed when I first took it out, I think the grain is going this way. So let's just cut right into it. Ooh, that's nice. And I think the grain is going this way. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's just cut right into it. All right, this is next I'm probably cut the grain slightly off. Oh, it's got a delicious, delicious flavor. It's got the smokiness of the pastrami. It's got the pull. It's got the beautiful cure to it. The coriander, everything is perfect. So what's the conclusion? The top rack versus the bottom rack. Actually, I'm actually surprised they're actually the same. What I noticed with the bottom rack, when I took the pan out, it got more heat. So this one has a more tender heat to it. The smokiness is probably the same. It's great. So, what do we learn? Cure it for at least 2 weeks, 24 hours to drain out the water and the salt. Use the pastrami rub. And what I found out most important, slow and low to begin. Get that beautiful smoky flavor. And then hot and fast at the end. Alright, this is Gene, a Geeky Asian Dad, with the pastrami. Is it the top rack or the bottom rack? Which is better? And the reality is, they're all good, especially if you're cooking this much food. Alright, keep following me on Facebook and Instagram.